Chat is already moving. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Win with Black Women. Good evening. I see the DMV 843. That's where I'm from, South Carolina. Wow. Oh, Florence, South Carolina's in there. San Francisco. There's a whole lot of New York in the house. Philly, Rhode Island. Maryland. Ooh, it go the Bay. It's going really, 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 really fast. So there are a lot of people that are in the chat. New York City, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I can't keep up, but it looks like there are nearly 4,000 Black women here with us tonight. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Win with Black Women. My name is Joteka Edie. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, welcome. For those of you who has been with us for the last nearly 5 years, you know what I'm about to do. I'm going to give a welcome and a quick overview for those of you who are joining us. We are Win with Black Women on most Sunday nights we gather. We have been gathering now since 2020 when a group of us all came together around our collective concern around the narrative of how Black women were being treated, particularly as it related to who was going to be the nation's next vice president. And we followed in the footsteps of Black women who had came before us for years and years and years, including dear sister who we will celebrate tonight, who had been saying for the longest that Black women needed to be in the highest ticket in the land. And they had done, whoa, oh, wow, oh, that's weird.
You okay, Joe Taker? We're still live.
Oh, I'm so sorry. It just, my thing said you've been logged out. I thought I got logged out. Here I
No,
am.
no, we've been watching you the whole time, so we can still hear you. Keep going. We got you.
Well, there we go. A little technical difficulties. I thought that the peoples were messing with that Zoom. Okay, and as I was saying, we followed their great footsteps, and we all came together to speak out against the racism and sexism. And then we also made sure to be very clear that it was important for there to be a Black woman on the highest ticket in the land. And we all did that work together in unison. Black women organizations, and we all together saw history made with the election of the nation's first Black woman vice president, our Vice President Kamala Harris. We decided to continue to meet, and we have done great things together, working with the Black Women's Leadership Collective and so many organizations to support the nomination and the confirmation of our first Black woman on the U.S. Supreme Court, our first Black woman to serve as a governor on the Federal Reserve Board, and so many other historic firsts. But we've also done the work together following in the footsteps of our sister leaders at the WNBA Players Association to make a very strong call for our sister Brittany Griner to come home, and supporting our sisters in entertainment and culture, authors and storytellers. And we've gotten behind some amazing works of art, whether it's Origin or The Little Mermaid, and buying out theaters, showing that our power matters. And we continue to do this week after week, and our goals are simple. Number one, speak out against racism and sexism against Black women anywhere it is. Number two, making sure that we work in our individual capacities to elect Black women up and down the ballot. And third, last but certainly not least, lifting up the collective power and image of Black women, particularly that of Black women led and Black women centered organizations. That is what we have been doing. We organize around the hashtag Win with Black Women. And on July 21st, we had an extra 44,000 people join us. And since we have continued to grow, That is who we are. These calls are off the record. They're very, very large. There are 4,200 of us on this call, but they are off the record. We open in the spirit and we close in the spirit. And when we close in the spirit, we go into what we call after hours. After hours is our way of communicating. And tonight, our after hours would be very special. We're going to devote after hours to a special conversations and stories about Mother Hazel Dukes, who we love so much. We also have breakout rooms that you could go into. Those breakout rooms allow you to participate in the conversation. If you stay in the main room, you'll be able to watch the conversation tonight. But if you go into a breakout room, and we'll give you instructions at the end of the meeting, you can engage. And we have various topics, whether it's sisters checking in on wellness, or whether or not it's by category, federal employees and workers getting advice from each other, or it's just hot topics. So all of that. Now, many of you have reached out to us in the last week and said that you heard Angela Rye's request for you all to consider donating to this cause. As you all know, we have grown extensively, and as that, the operations costs have grown. This has always been a volunteer ran operation. Most of us that you see, we donate our time. But there are some things that actually cost. And so we're going to put up on the screen, because we didn't put it up, but we will also have it in the resource, the barcode, if you would like to donate to support with Black women. We will also send out something via email where you have opportunities to donate to either the C3 fund, which is graciously supported by Power Rising and our partnership, or the C4 fund that is graciously supported by Sisters Lead, Sisters Vote. And so if we could put that on the screen, I believe it's going to come up. We will be able to have it up there for those of you all who have called and asked for the barcode for donations. Well, I don't think it's ready, so I am just going to continue on the agenda. So we open in the spirit and we close in the spirit. And this week we are opening in the spirit to celebrate someone whom has gone on to be our fighter in heaven and our angel in heaven. And that is the Honorable Dr. Hazel N. Dukes. There's so much that I could say about her. She is and was an icon. She is the mother of one of the mothers of the civil rights movement, and she joined us week after week after week. She was on our very first call, and she rarely missed a Sunday. And for many of those who help power Win with Black women, who help advise Win with Black women, who are part of Win with Black women, she was a very special part of our lives. She molded us, she taught us, but most importantly, she loved us. Some of us have known Mother Dukes our entire lives, others of us for the larger part of our careers. And all that she has done, whether it has been in her service to the NAACP, her service to the Links, her service to her sorority, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, her service to the New York State NAACP, her service to so many organizations and institutions, her church that she was a part of. In doing that, she developed what she called her children. And we were blessed to be her children, and we learned from her in so much. So tonight, we are going to share a video that was a very special moment that she had with Win with Black women. And then we will open the floor for some remarks from some of those very children and mentees that she had. Thank you. Black women is intergenerational. And the last time that Vice President Harris joined a Win with Black Women gathering, the oldest person on the call was in her 90s, and the youngest person was just over 20. And so bringing them back tonight, we're super excited to bring back some wisdom and some youth encouragement. Mama Dukes and Celia McFadden. Bring them up, Mama Dukes.
Hello.
Hey, Mama Dukes.
How are you, my darling?
Oh, we are amazing, Mama Dukes. How are you?
I'm so excited and just listened to Tamika Mallory, one of the mentees that I've had a chance to see. Cora Master Berry on here, my dear friend, and all of these women who have stopped tonight to again tell us and show us our power. And so I'm excited, being 92 years of age, to have worked in this field for some 50 years, and now to be living, to be a part of another historical moment in life. I never thought that I would live to see an Obama elected. But I started way back with Jimmy Carter, Hubert Humphrey. I've been there for the white men. I worked hard for all of them. And now to see Obama with the work we did, and then look at you. Thanks, Joe Taker, for 2020, when we came together that Sunday night, and it was only 1,000 of us, but Star Jones told us what to do, and we rolled out our little pocket, as I said on CBS the other night. We are resilient. We don't have like the cooties them, but when they told us they were going to take their money back, we opened up our pocketbook. And yes, America, I saw you on MSNBC the other night, and my heart was pumping to see that you children that I've had a part to play in your life, to help mentor you, to be women, to carry on the spirit of Mary McLeod Bethune, to carry on the spirit of Sojourner Truth, to carry on the spirit for all these warriors that have passed, that I'm a part of living this. I'm a part of continuing to mentor you young women. So many of you. When I look at Rosalind Brock, when I look at Siobhan Allen, when I look at my girls, Mignon Moore and Reverend Leah Daughtry, all of you, I've had a part of rearing you. I've had a part of playing Mr. in your life. So you wouldn't be where you are today if you did respect those of us who have lived long enough to pour into you what was poured into us. And so tonight I am overjoyed. I'm excited. As I said to you earlier, and I said to you last week when I had a chance to reach you, Ma Dukes is just so proud of you guys to carry on this legacy of those who have gone before you. You stand on our shoulders. We know that we can do it. We've done it before. We didn't have Zoom calls. We didn't have telephones. But Rosa Parks, when she sat that day, that's where Kamala can stand and run and be elected the next president of the United States of America. Sister Joe Taker, my darling, I see that my good friend, our link sister, another one I reared, Melody Campbell. I mean, half of that room must be children that I have reared. And you make my heart so strong. Beatty, my link sister, she pays for her announcement. That's Joyce Beatty. Half of that room must be people that I have poured into in these 92 years. And I just pray God's strength that I'll be here to witness what you're doing, Joe Taker. I love you, children.
She really did love us all. And we are so blessed in the Win with Black Women network, all of us, to have known her and to be loved by her. To have been loved by her is to feel something special. And we are grateful and we are thankful. And I will open it up to any of our sisters that are backstage that may want to say anything before we move forward in our agenda. I think they'll wait and join us in after hours where we'll tell stories. And there are times when Mother Dukes would make us laugh. And I can see her in heaven now. Of course, she is wearing a good St. John suit. And she is gathering everyone. Well, Mother Dukes would want us to keep our eyes on the prize. She often told us that and would do that work, and that is what we will do. We know that coming up is the nation's State of the Union with our current president. And it was important for us to make sure that we brought to you two experts to speak both on foreign policy and domestic policy to give us a forecast of what we could expect to come out of this State of the Union and what you as Black women should be aware of. We are honored to have two very special guests, and we're going to start with our first special guest. We all know and love her. She is the foremost expert across many realms, but particularly in foreign policy. She is Ambassador Susan Rice.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having me tonight. It's wonderful to be with you all and be in your fellowship. I have been asked to talk a bit about foreign policy and national security and where we are at this moment. And I wish I could come to you with some hopeful words, but the reality is that's not where we are. And if anything, people who know me know that I call balls and strikes as I see them. So with that caveat, let me begin. We are really seeing now in Donald Trump's presidency in very short order, just in the last 6 weeks, what I would call a tectonic shift in the global order. On Trump's watch, he has already taken dramatic steps to dump what has been the United States Western alliance since the end of World War II and throw our NATO allies, Europe, Canada, Ukraine, our allies in Asia, Korea, Japan, Australia, to the side, under the bus. And he has quite clearly cast the United States in partnership with what I call an axis of authoritarians. That's primarily Russia, first and foremost, with China, who Russia and China are very close allies. And they are also allied with North Korea, which, as you'll recall, has put troops on the Russian side in the war with Ukraine, and Iran, which has supplied Russia with very sophisticated drones and other weapons to fight its war in Ukraine. The United States, shockingly, is now wholly in cahoots with Russia and by extension, China, Iran, and North Korea. And let me give you the backdrop for why I make that statement. I realize it's shocking and it may be surprising to some. First of all, we saw what happened in the Oval Office on Friday. Never I've been in more high-level meetings with heads of state in the Oval Office under 3 presidents than I can count. Never have we seen anything like that, where, in my opinion, the vice president, who in any context doesn't speak unless spoken to, jumped in and precipitated a blow up. He didn't do that, in my judgment, out of the blue, or because he felt Donald Trump needed help in his dialogue with Zelensky. He did that, in my judgment, as part of a pre-planned, basically a setup, ambush, as some have said, to cause Zelensky to engage in a confrontational moment, captured on camera. They had the TASS news agency, the Russian state news agency, in the room. They had 40 minutes of the press sitting there listening to this dialogue so they could capture it on television. And you heard Donald Trump call it great television. It was a setup to give Trump an excuse to halt aid to Ukraine, and to play to Moscow and to play to his base. But that was just the most recent obvious manifestation. If you look at the whole of what has happened, calling Zelensky a dictator, refusing to say the same about Putin, blaming Ukraine for starting the war when they were invaded, J.D. Vance going to the Munich Security Council and giving an extraordinary speech in which he essentially berated the Europeans and made it clear that the Europeans could no longer, as members of NATO, count on the United States in our mutual defense. He has threatened to go into conflict with 2 NATO allies, Denmark over Greenland and Canada, in order to make it the 51st state. He's imposed tariffs or threatened to impose tariffs on the European Union, our closest allies, as well as Canada, our neighbor to the north, and Mexico to the south. This will not only harm Americans and our economy, but deliberately weaken the economies of our closest partners, or who once were our closest partners. He wants to cut the defense budget by 8% a year. There's no doubt there's room for cutting the defense budget, but at that scale, that quickly, that's a gift to our adversaries. Today it was reported that we are no longer going to engage in offensive cyber activity against Russia, while we know full well that Russia is constantly engaging in cyber attacks against our infrastructure, against our hospitals, against regular Americans, and against our national security. So we're unilaterally disarming. And most, horrifying in terms of the humanitarian consequences, he has shut down USAID nearly in its entirety. USAID provides life-saving humanitarian assistance, food aid, healthcare, but it also does exceedingly important work for our national security, and it helps support human rights and democracy. And that's been withdrawn from the field. When you put all these things together, we are handing the United States and our interests on a silver platter to Vladimir Putin in Moscow and to Xi Jinping by extension. So this is really, truly a frightening moment. And if you want to be more concerned, Elon Musk, who seems to be the bellwether of where Trump is going, tweeted today that he thinks it's time for the United States to withdraw from NATO and withdraw from the United Nations. So we're in a moment of real peril, of tectonic shift. And it's vitally important that all of us, as Black women, as Americans, understand what's at stake and make our voices heard in pushing back and saying, this is not who we are. This is not who we want to be. Remember who Vladimir Putin is. He is a vicious, violent dictator. He hates women. He hates minorities. He hates gay people. He is a nationalist, and a Christian nationalist to boot, which is part of the attraction. And he is a very dangerous man who wants nothing more than to see the United States weaken. And the last thing I'll say as evidence for this argument is today, the Kremlin spokesman said that Moscow is delighted with the shift in U.S. policy and views it as mainly aligned with that of Russia. So that's the reality. So what do we do about it? Well, the most important thing we can do, and we'll hear from Congresswoman Kamala Doves shortly about what's going on the domestic side, which is related to this, because he's also dismantling the federal government and federal programs that benefit all Americans. But what we can do is make it clear to our representatives, Republicans and Democrats, in states red and blue, that we are not down for this alignment with Russia and China and abandonment of our traditional allies and undermining of our national security. And that it can't be business as usual, and our voices matter, even where we may not be able to control the voting in Congress. We can control the behavior of our representatives, and the Republican representatives need to hear that their constituents of all stripes are fed up and aren't going to take it. But our Democratic friends also need to understand that this is not the time to say yes to whatever budget gets negotiated, or yes to raising the debt ceiling, or yes to nominees that are plainly unqualified. When, there's no point in having a budget that is voted on when we know the president is not going to spend money that Congress tells him to appropriate. So we need to start acting like this is the five-alarm fire that it is. And we need to not engage in business as usual. We need to stand up and make our voices heard.
I think that's the most, you said so much that's so important, but the part about our power and making our voices heard, we hear you loud and clear. Ambassador Rice, thank you for your leadership and for your service. We certainly would love for you to come back soon to discuss the path forward, especially on the changing geopolitical landscape.
I'd love to come back, and thank you for having me. I wish I were coming with a happier message, but the happy part is we are together. And when we stand together, as this group has proven on so many occasions, we are powerful and we will have an impact. And this is what this moment calls for. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much. And there are nearly 4,700 of us on here tonight, and probably others on YouTube. Thank you so much. And we look forward to having you back. And you forecasted our next speaker. She's no stranger to Win with Black Women and to all of us. It is Congresswoman Cindy Kamala Dove. If you have not seen already, if you don't follow her on social, you got to follow her on social. Before we bring Congresswoman Kamala Dove up, we want to roll this video that's gone viral, but it's her setting the stage for us to make sure we know what's real and what's not real. Let's roll the video.
Hey, I'm Congresswoman Cindy Kamala Dove on the House Judiciary Committee. We are at our first markup, and I'm asking my colleagues if this is legal. I am here with a colleague and homie, Becca Ballant, Congresswoman for the great state of Vermont. Are you a lawyer?
I am not, but I'm married to a lawyer, so I'm lawyer adjacent.
I too am married to a lawyer, so I get where you're coming from. So, Voldemort Vought is trying to dismantle the CFPB. Is this legal?
This is not legal. Definitely not legal. The CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, was set up by Congress, and only Congress can dismantle it.
She said it right here first. Thank you. I am with Congressman Hank Johnson. Are you a lawyer?
I am.
So you know if legal, right?
I do.
All right, I have a question for you. The Trump administration is not complying with court orders to release foreign aid funding. Is this legal?
That ain't legal.
And that's all he got to say. I am here with my good friend Deborah Ross. Are you a lawyer?
Oh, yes.
So then you will be able to tell us if this is legal, correct?
Correct.
All right, here's the question, Attorney Ross. Elon Musk has been awarded almost $200 billion in federal contracts, and now he's exercising unchecked authority over federal agencies and employees. Is this legal?
Well, in fact, I led a letter from the Judiciary Committee asking our new Attorney General to enforce the ethics laws and the conflict of interest laws. And so we need to get to the bottom of it, but I don't think this is legal.
Girlfriend said it's a no. Okay, I am here with Congresswoman Scanlon, also on House Judiciary Committee. She's big time. Are you a lawyer?
I am a lawyer.
So then you know if it's legal, right?
Absolutely.
So my question for you is, Trump tried to end birthright citizenship with an executive order. Is this legal?
Hell no.
There you had it, short and sweet.
She needs no introduction. I love it. But we're going to turn the floor over. Welcome. So if you aren't already following her, you got to follow her so you can just know what's going on. But Congresswoman Sidney Kamlager-Dove, thank you. We are so glad that you're here. I'm going to turn the floor over to you to give us a sense of what to expect, but most importantly, what should the nearly 4,700, we keep growing, Black women on this Zoom, what we should be thinking about and taking away from this week. Over to you.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me to join you and thousands of Black women across the country on this call. I don't know about you, but I needed a cocktail after listening to Ambassador Rice tell us all of the things that are in jeopardy with this orange Cheeto that is in office, who has sold this country and our democracy and security to Putin and to Elon Musk. It is frightening. So I am doing this series, Is This Shit Legal? Because basically nothing he is doing is legal. He got into office, immediately started signing executive orders because he is too weak to govern through Congress and the Senate. He then allowed Elon Musk to come in and ravage all of the departments. And so they are going in with these 19, 20, 21-year-old engineers to take our information, to rewrite codes, and to redirect money that they have in frozen. And they are methodically going through each agency, HUD, USAID you heard about, Treasury, Department of Education. Now they're looking at the Pentagon and the military. And then, of course, they are firing all of the people who are qualified, who are smart, who are competent, and are willing and able to say no, people who have a backbone. That's why Department of Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth fired the brother who's the Joint Chiefs of Staff, because he was like, well, how am I supposed to look this Black man in the face knowing I don't know my job, and he knows his job and my job? I'm embarrassed because I'm so mediocre, so I'm going to fire him. So that's what we are dealing with. There have been close to 100 lawsuits that have been filed. Congresswoman Maxine Waters has filed an amicus brief with about 200 of us Democrats filing with her. We are doing it as individuals to take a stand against this administration. A number of the lawsuits have been ruled in our favor. And we are starting to put the pressure on by talking about what these clowns are doing. So last week you saw town halls happening across the country in Republican districts. And thankfully people are showing up there and asking them, how come they don't have no balls? How come they are selling their constituencies out to Elon Musk and to Donald Trump? And they're getting a lot of pushback. Then we had to vote on this crazy bill, $4.5 trillion in tax cuts. And how are they going to pay for it? They're going to pay for it by cutting Medicaid and Social Security. And don't believe Mike Johnson when he tells you that's not what's going to happen, because it has to happen, because we do not have enough money through discretionary programs to cover $4.5 trillion. You have to cut into the meat. You know, it is not just fat. And the meat is Social Security. The meat is Medicaid. So Tuesday, as you know, there's going to be a joint session. It is not a State of the Union. The Congressional Black Caucus is planning a pre-buttal. So the chair is going to come out first and talk about what we can expect to hear from his lion self. And then the Congressional Black Caucus will offer a rebuttal. There will also be a shit tracker. We will be tracking the lies that this man is telling. because we want people to know in real time. And we're not talking about fact checking. We're talking about shit tracking, because we know that he is doing a whole bunch of stuff that is not legal, not right, and full of turds, right? As my mother would say, there are too many turds in the punch bowl right now. And what we are asking folks to continue to do, which is why you all are so important, is to tell the truth. I was talking to someone over the weekend and they said, oh my God, after watching the press conference with Zelensky, and she said, I don't have any hope. Is there any hope? And I said, it's going to be dark for a while, but there's always light at the end of the tunnel. It is never dark forever. And so what you have to do is, when you are crossing that river in the dark, through the sludge, you have to grab onto the person next to you. You have to hold on and you have to keep marching forward. And that is what we need to do up until 2026. And we need to tell the truth. We started telling the truth, talking about this man, talking about $15 eggs, talking about not being able to find eggs. We talked about all these planes falling out of the sky. We talked about him firing everybody. We talked about DEI is not diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's discrimination, exclusion, and ignorance. That's what he's all about. And as we have been talking about it, that information, that truth is percolating and getting into the hearts and into the heads of people who probably voted for him and now see that they too are on the chopping block. And we always knew what was going to happen. That's why we're not jumping up and down like everybody else is. They're jumping up and down because they thought, oh, he's going to come for everybody but me. Oh, no, boo, he's coming for you too. Our power on this call, our power as a collective, is to tell those truths, not blue truths, not red truths, but those real truths to push us into 2026, to give Hakeem Jeffries the speakership, and also to push us onto a path that readies us for 2028 when we can be successful. So what do we need you to do? What do I need you to do? Is keep talking about it. Keep sharing the information that you're seeing. Keep making things go viral. Keep reposting. Keep going to the town halls. Keep encouraging your folks to go and to talk and to go to community events and just share. You ain't got to pressure nobody. Just share facts, because that is how we're going to win. And we're going to keep it basic. That's why I did that series, Is This Shit Is Legal? We're going to keep it basic and digestible. And we are just going to share information, because these are some lying dogs that we have to deal with in this Republican Congress. And they are snowflakes. They are scared when you clap back at them with facts. And so that's what we're going to continue to do.
I love what you said, Congresswoman. You said that it's not the red truth or the blue truth. It doesn't matter where you are on your in terms of your affiliation. It's just the truth. So thank you so much. We love it when you bring the truth. We love your content. We love everything that you're doing, and you and the entire Congressional Black Caucus and all the members of the Congress on both sides of the aisle who are daring to speak truth to power. So thank you, and we look forward to having you back. Speaking of truth, and truth tellers, I'm excited to bring up our sister. We know she always has the receipts. It's Reecie with the advance receipts. So she's going to give us a couple of advance receipts for you all to be able to be laser focused as you listen to the State of the Union, how you can listen, but more importantly, how you can actually message. All of us have platforms, whether or not it's your socials, it's your kitchen table, it's your families, or if it's your television shows or your podcasts or your radio shows. And Reecie's going to help us with that. Let's welcome to the Win with Black Women virtual stage, Reecie Colbert.
Okay, I'm back. I'm here. Thank you, Joteka. I love a cussing congresswoman. So I love following a cussing congresswoman, a woman after my own heart. But, I try to keep it cute on the Women Black Women call. So I'm not going to bring that energy. I'll keep that for my show and the socials. But even though it's not the State of the Union on Tuesday, we should actually be calling it the State of Project 2025. There's actually a website that is tracking Project 2025, the thing that we told y'all was going to happen, that everybody believed, or at least the Republicans believed wasn't going to happen. And it's called project2025.observer. In 41 days, they have achieved, meaning Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and the Muskettes, aka Doge, and the Republicans in Congress have achieved 36% of their objectives in 41 days. But you know what they haven't achieved? Bringing down inflation. That was what Donald Trump promised to do on day one. And we still have yet to see one economic proposal that will lower costs for families. Costs are up, strengthen the economy. All of the independent analysis that's not from right wingers are saying that Donald Trump's policies around tariffs and around these tax cuts are going to hurt our economy. And in fact, we're starting to see for the first time, there's metrics that are indicating that we're going to see the GDP, which is the gross domestic product of this country, shrink by 1.5%. That is what the Atlanta Fed is predicting now. And so obviously 36% of Project 2025's objectives is completely detrimental to those of us who are not millionaires and billionaires. I'm in the thousandaire club. Some of us are in the hundredaire club. And these Republicans have absolutely nothing for us that will help us. I know right now they are winning the narrative war because they have this really catchy 3-word waste, fraud, and abuse. And so that is what Republicans are hanging their hat on. But the reality is that this waste, fraud, and abuse discussion is really trying to change the conversation away from the fact that gutting the federal workforce and gutting these programs is gutting an investment in our country and our economy. Republicans like to say that Donald Trump is a deal maker. Well, he's an expert at negotiating bankruptcies. He has 6 under his belt. And that's what he's trying to do, along with Mike Johnson and his Republican cronies in the House and in the Senate, when they are putting forth, they've already passed a House bill that is going to add trillions of dollars to the deficit so that billionaires and millionaires can have more money to buy yachts, to take casual trips to the moon or outer space. Meanwhile, they are going to slash programs that we rely on. And I want to make it very clear, when we are caring for our neighbor, that is not charity. When we are investing money in our healthcare, which Republicans want to slash $800 billion from Medicare, Medicaid, and from SNAP, that is not just harming them, but it's harming our entire community. The federal government spends 32% of the national health spending, 32% of it comes from the federal government. 16% comes from state and local governments. So that money that is being spent on Medicare and Medicaid is also supplementing the hospitals so that they can keep running, so that we can have a range of services, so that people don't have to go to the emergency room and not be able to pay their bills, which then increases the cost that we have to pay. And so it's not just charity or altruism. We mutually benefit from all of these things. Ambassador Rice mentioned earlier about what's happening with USAID. Aid to other countries is not, again, charity. It is also supporting American businesses. There are hundreds of millions of dollars that farmers are on the hook for, that manufacturers are on the hook for, that they're not receiving because the so-called deals that Doge is making is just unilaterally canceling legally appropriated funds. And that's harming American businesses. And that has an exponential impact on it. And the last thing I'll say is that we're getting a bargain for our federal workforce. The attacks that they are putting on these people, Russell Vought, the OMB director, said that he wants to traumatize the federal workforce, is such a bargain. They make up 4.3% of our budget of $6.9 trillion. We don't get $6.9 trillion out of the door magically and into the right hands for the Republicans to be so-called worried about waste, fraud, and abuse without our federal workforce. And so when they're not providing us services, we're going to have to make up for those services with our take-home pay because we're not getting a Doge dividend. The Republicans do not have a tax cut for us. So please, when you are talking about all of these things that Republicans are focused on, make sure that your neighbors are aware that they are going to be adversely impacted by these cuts. It's not just poor people. It's not just people overseas that are going to be impacted. It's going to be all of us, because the reality is, as abhorrent as we've seen these policies are, he still has almost 50% approval rating, because there is some popular things that he's doing, as horrible as they are. But there are 20% of people who don't know what to think on a lot of these topics. And so communicating, as a congresswoman just said, is going to be so important, not falling for the lies and not perpetuating the propaganda and disinformation that this administration is putting out. and that's my time.
Always love it when you bring us so much. Thank you so much, Reecie, for the advance receipts. Can you let everybody out there know how they can find you, how they can follow you, and you always repost what you share so that they can go back and revisit it.
Yes, Reecie Colbert on all my socials. I have a YouTube channel, Black Women Views, and I'm on Sirius XM 3 times a week, Urban View, Clay Kane Show Tuesdays and Thursdays, and the Reecie Colbert Show is Saturdays from 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern live. You can give me a call and tell me what you think.
Thank you so much. Sisters, we're going to keep moving right along on our agenda for tonight. And we're super excited to share that you've heard about the State of the Union. You've heard a lot about what we're going to hear, both the foreign policy side, the domestic policy. Reese's giving you advance receipts. And a lot of folks are saying, well, what can you do? What can we do in the next few weeks? Well, there's actually some place you can go, and that is our Sisterhood Spotlight, and that is the Black Women's Roundtable Summit. She is no stranger. We know this sister. We love this sister. She is the coalition builder who keeps us all together. Sister Melanie Campbell, over to you. And I know we have a video to share before you speak tonight.
Thank you, Joteka. Ladies, first of all, I want to just stop. Thank you, Joteka, for the spotlight. But I also want to just take the moment to think about and lift up Mama Dukes, who, when you showed that video from not too long ago, she was already, she was 92 in that video, and just thinking about her and all that she poured into so many on this call. And I feel blessed to have had that opportunity to know her and to know that what we're doing tonight, you're right, she would want us to keep fighting, but we also are going to miss her so much as we fight this fight. The Black Women's Roundtable, this is our 14th year. We're hosting our summit March the 12th through the 16th. We have a couple of things that I think are really important. One of them is that we are on Capitol Hill on the 13th. I want to, for our Hill Day that we will have that morning. That's the day before the what could possibly be a government shutdown on the 14th. So we're really pushing our broad agenda, but really honing in on two key elements that are impacting us. One, the saving the civil service as a focus, and also a fair budget. We're hearing about $80 billion being cut, possibly if the House version of the budget passes, $80 billion in cuts in Medicaid. And some of these things that we know have been unlawful, hearing from former Ambassador Susan Rice, being able to hear what she has really sober shared with us, is that what they're trying to do that's not legal, they're going to try to do through the budget process. So we have to all fight that fight. The other is that on Saturday, March the 15th, we will be having a power walk for economic justice and a what we're calling a Black Dollars buy-in, to show the power of our dollar. So I want to thank many of you all, Black Women, Power Rising, Sisters, Lead Sisters Vote, APRI, so many others, and I get to calling names, and I'm gonna mess up. But in many of our civil rights organizations and others who will be part of. Our goal is to maximize the presence. What's great is there are going to be several things happening over the next few weeks with many of our Black women's organizations. We have to also show up, even when those don't want us to be there. We will be on the Senate side on the 13th, and it's not too late. It's a little less than 10 days away, but we hope that you will consider joining us in person or virtually. And if we'll put in the chat the link to the summit, very minimal cost, but we wanted to make sure that we open it up. We also will be really highlighting Black women in business. So we'll have all of our vendors are Black women-owned businesses that will be at the summit for our expo. So we'll be buying Black and also lifting up companies like Costco that are doing the right thing when it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion, who are not bowing down. We have to show our strength in numbers, but also our strength in our dollars. So thank you, Joteka, for the spotlight tonight, and all the sisters who support. I think Cora Masters Berry is on here, and I see my Sarah's on here, and others. Rhonda Briggs, I get to call the names. Q, Christina, and everyone for the support. Black Women's Roundtable is a big tent, big table, and we hope you all will join us either in person or virtually.
Well, I can't wait. I have it on my schedule. I'm looking for, and all of you all, we will make sure in the resource tab, you should go to the resource tab. I know the chat moves so fast. So if you go to the resource tab, you'll get all the information. Make sure if you're not following Mel Campbell, you need to follow Coalition Builder. That's how you can find her on most socials. Also, Black Women's Roundtable. And they also have so many in their state networks that you can follow and get involved. And make sure you register and show up, whether it's virtually or in person. Mel, thank you for all you do to lead us. Thank you for all you do to keep us together. Thank you so much. Sisters, oh, yes.
One more shout out. I saw Leah and I saw Mignon who support me too. So thank you, ladies.
Absolutely. I tell you, the hardest thing when I'm in this seat, because we want to shout out everybody who's all out there. And every now and then,
always,
my phone start blowing up. Folks be like, I'm on the other side, but I'm here. So
and that's part of it. We have to support each other. Appreciate
that's right. That is so right. Because there's so many good sisters out there that are with us all the time. Thank you, Sister Mel. We're going to keep going. Well, last week we were off, but not off, because we had work to do. And we, together with the Win with Black Men Network, shout out to our brothers, joined for what became an emergency call. And in about 1.5 hours, we put out a call, and there were 24,000, I don't know the exact number, that got on our call last Sunday. And another 40,000 plus watched the meeting. And it was around our collective outreach around what was happening to our sister Joyanne Reid and the canceling of her beloved show, The Readout. And we had Sister Joy join us and a lot of other great voices to talk about the greater, more broader conversation, but specifically Joy. But there's a greater conversation around the silencing of Black voices and our collective concern and most important support of Joy-Ann Reid, but also us, as Joy called us, to look at the broader conversation around greater Black voices. And so tonight, we wanted to, well, actually, she wanted to come back to just say thank you and to greet you all, because there's been a very, very busy week for her. And then afterwards, I have a great report to share some exciting news about your collective work and power. So our sister Joy-Ann Reid, I know you are backstage and I know we're going to bring you on. There you go.
Hey, Soror.
Hey, Soror, how are you?
I am.
Everybody, the chat is already lighting up, right? It's all the joy. Hashtag we need joy. Thank you for all you do, your voice, your power. I'm going to just turn it over to you.
Thank you, good sis. I appreciate you, Joteka. And I just actually saw Joteka. We were both in LA. We did the quick cross country and mine was so last minute. I want to just very briefly thank Essence and the Essence Black Women in Hollywood event for getting me to get on a plane, despite the fact that the planes are kind of run by the real world Boston guy. And I was like a little reluctant, but I got on that plane because of our good sis, Angela Rye and Tiffany Cross, who coaxed me to get on a flight. Me and my husband went across country and we attended that beautiful brunch for the Black women in Hollywood. It was amazing. So I just want to thank Alfonso and everyone from Essence, everybody, Richelieu, everyone from Essence for letting me be there. So I have a report. So last time I was on, I was very emotional. I do blame that on Reverend Dr. Latasha Brown, who had me on here weeping. But I am so grateful to Win with Black Women. I'll tell you, I've been on many of these calls, and I normally just sit and listen and just take in the beauty of the sisterhood and just enjoy all of y'all and just enjoy it, whether it's for the election or whether it's just to be on here to hear about all the great things that our sisters are doing in Congress, in movies. I was on when Ava DuVernay was on, just whoever. This has been a space of support and love and sustenance and joy. Small J joy, and it is so beautiful. And so I just want to thank you all for wrapping your arms around me last week. Last week was a very difficult week, as you can imagine. But I just wanted to report that the support from Win with Black Women and Win with Black Men enabled my final show, my finale show for the readout with my wonderful producers and my crew. We wound up being the #1 show in the demo on MSNBC that entire day. 1.7 million people tuned in for the show. That was the second highest total on the network. Of course, second only to the great Rachel Maddow, who cannot really be beaten. And so we were #2 in totals, #1 in the demo. And that 1.7 million people, 1.67 million to be exact, included some 600,000 people who tuned in just for my show, on top of the base number of people who tune in on a regular basis, at least the number that we had after the election. And so it put us right back to where we had been at the peak of the show just before the election. Before the election, we were turning in those 1.7s on a regular. We could do a 1.4, 1.5, 1.6, 1.7. We know after the election, a lot of us were tired. We were exhausted. We needed to step back. We stepped away. But when I tell you, my people stepped right back in for our final show. So I just wanted to thank all of you for stepping in. It was specific to the show. We had such amazing numbers, and we ended on a really high note. And what I'll say is, to really tie in what you've heard on this incredible Win with Black Women tonight, I decided what I wanted to do is make the show focused on resistance and on how we can resist and on a positive message of resistance. And so that's what I wrote. I wrote an A block, my famous A blocks. I wrote one for resistance. Some of my friends like Rachel and Nicole Wallace and Lawrence O'Donnell chimed in to be a part of it. Paul Butler, just a group of all of our friends got on. And it was really great. Naira Hawk was on. We just had a bunch of our friends, Ben Rhodes. We got on and we talked about what you can do. And just to tie in what you were hearing from Reecie with her receipts, the reality is The resistance is coming economically. It's what people are doing regarding corporations that are walking away from DEI. And so people saying, we will step back if you step back. The resistance is people who are literally in these streets protesting at whatever, Tesla dealerships, in front of their former workplaces, at USAID, et cetera. But it also is people who are saying, you know what, we're not going to be in these streets because people were not in the voting booth for us, but we're going to resist in our own way, economically or any other way. As long as you're resisting, you are part of the movement. So I just want to say that I love you all, and there is nothing you can do about it. And I see all the people in the chat. I love you all ceaselessly, endlessly, and there's so much more to come, y'all. I'm not going anywhere. You can find me on joyannereid.com. That's my Substack. And I have more announcements. And last thing I'm going to say to Miss Joteka, my sister, when I have an announcement to make about my next thing, I can promise you right now that announcement will be made on Win with Black Women.
Well, we are honored. We are honored we are now taking exclusives. We love
You're getting exclusives.
We're going to get the exclusive. Y'all hear that? Everybody that's part of the media, you're going to have to come to Win with Black Women to hear it. And I know we will all be waiting to hear it. Thank you for being a voice that speaks truth to power. We love you. And everybody follow Joy Ann Reid on all the things, but make sure you go to her Substack and follow her there. But everywhere you can follow her, follow. And make sure you're checking out her podcast. The podcast is the two reads. It's
Read This, Read That. Yeah, that's the other place. It's gonna be the two.
That.
Those are my two spots where you can get all the info. It's Read This, Read That. Me and Jackie Reed, my source, sister, cousin, friend, and of course, Swim with Black Women.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We love you. We love you. And so I am so excited to share a few slides. It's always important for you to visualize and see the power. So I am going to ask the team to pull up the slides. I think they're going to pull those slides up really quickly and walk you through the power. And I know that many of you tuned in and you heard there were record numbers from Joy and for her show on Monday night. But I think there's also just, it's always great to visualize it. And I just want to give the team, I know the team is pulling up the numbers. I think they're going to come back on and pull them up. It's coming. And here we go. So we are going to start with the social media followers tier. So you can see the macro tier is 500 to 1 million. There's 1.6 million plus for the readout and 50 to 500,000 for the mid tier. So we're going to start with the slides. And Holly, can you go to the first slide in the slide deck? If you all just give us 1 second, I think the team's trying to pull it up. Oh, thank you so much. One of the things that I love about this community is the grace. And you all are saying, take your time, great team. That is right. Thank you. Grace is something that Black women know how to give to each other. And so thank you for working with us as we work to get these very, very important numbers and slides up to you all. Because it's so important for you all to see the power of what you do and the power of our collective action. So I think we might be ready. And there we go. So this report comes from information from Adweek. And this is a recap of Monday, February 24th, Even Cable and the news ratings. The headline, Joy Reid's final show is first in the demo for MSNBC. That's your power. We'll go to the next slide. This is the power. So, and it's clear, There should never be. So anybody, whomever they are, no matter what they are, if they think that they can get away with silencing Black voices, then they really need to think twice. Because let's look at the numbers, and you heard this. This is all reported in Adweek. There were 1,100,000 people that tuned in to The Beat with Ari Melber. And then we saw this spike for the Readout with Joyanne Reid to 1.69 million. And then the next show, it went down to 1.176 thousand, Inside with Jen Psaki. And then drum roll, please, the next slide. Let's look at the social media analytics, and thank you to all of you who turned the TV off. And there's a screenshots of some of you posted showing yourselves watching the show. And then all of you all, the videos were so classic. You showed your videos of turning the TV off. And look at the little baby. We even had the little baby watching. And on social media, the hashtag We Need Joy, it reached 14 million people on that day, and then Turn the TV Off reached 12 million people. And then let's go to the last slide. And this is powerful. When the show was over, 514,000 viewers turned off their TV. Now, it's important to know with this 514,000 number that this only reflects television numbers. It does not reflect YouTube or other streaming platforms. I myself was using a streaming platform. So that number is not reflective of many of you. And shout out to all of our partners at the Black Women's Leadership Collective and good sisters, Bishop Leah Daughtry, Sister Melanie Campbell, and so many others, Sister Holly Holiday and others that hopped on a virtual call, our sister Karen Finney, where we have 5,000 of us watching together on a shared Zoom, and then everyone in their houses turned the TV off. You got to understand this number, and it's so important for us, and we'll make sure we share with you so that you can share this. Imagine if that network looked out their window and they saw 514,000 people. That's what we did from Sunday to Monday in partnership with Win with Black Men and so many other organizations in the Black Women's Leadership Collective. We did that collectively, 514,000. That is so powerful. And what that means and what that shows is that we are viewing we have viewing power. That is a large number of people that we were able to move. And that should send a signal to anyone who is going to think about trying to silence any voice, any of our voices, that we actually have power to remove our viewers and our eyeballs from their platforms. And that was really the goal, and the purpose was to show our support, the joy, but also to be able to, on Monday, show what it's like and what it feels like and the power of our movement working in collective. So hats off to all of you all, and a big thank you to everyone who was in unison, and to all of those voices, sisters like Angela Rye, and others who have just been really big, important voices in collective unity around this. Thank you so, so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. We are going to continue on this agenda, and we are super excited to bring up a wonderful sisterhood panel to talk about our recent and current partnership with Essence. That's another entity that loves Black women. And you may have seen on socials and heard and saw all of the Essence Black women in Hollywood. It was so amazing, where Joyanne Reid made a surprise visit. And there were so many of our friends who join our calls on a week-to-week basis that are in the entertainment industry, both in front and behind the camera. But we had an opportunity to go there to do some advocacy, to talk about our commitment to the Altadena community. community. And so I'm excited to bring to the Win with Black Women stage sisters who you've met before and some sisters that you haven't met, but joining us are Altadena residents. Bookstore owner of Octavia's bookstore, an amazing bookstore and a small business owner, Sister Nikki High, longtime advocate and fierce fighter, both in the NAACP Pasadena branch and her Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated chapter. 42 years in, Miss Juanita West Tillman. Hello, longtime advocate and corporate executive, doing a lot of amazing work blending influencer, media, and marketing with pivotal health equity issues, but in her personal capacity, Sister Samantha Stokes. We also have we also have our good Win with Black Women sister representing and hailing out of the Los Angeles area, Dawn Gravely. We also have our good sister Jackie DuPont Walker from our good sister out of LA. And also joining us from Essence's Chief Marketing Officer, Reecie Reynolds. Hello. Hi, everybody. And I think Rachel may pop up as well. Rachel Norlander, we all know and love her with Actum LLC, who does so much for Win with Black Women and so many Black women. But you all, we were all just together for Essence Black Women in Hollywood. Reecie, I'm going to start with you just to give people a snapshot and an overview of our partnership and the advocacy that we were there to do.
Yes. Well, Joteka, I just want to say thank you again for the amazing words that you shared on the stage. And I want to just reframe one thing. One is, so I'm the CEO of Sky Blue Media. Right now, I'm the interim fractional chief marketing officer of Sundial Media Group, the holding company for Essence. So I'm working on all of the things. And I was so inspired by one of the calls that you had, Joteka, that I talked to all of the folks at Essence and said, we've got to get Win with Black Women integrated into what we're doing with Black women in Hollywood to help us with all of our community efforts, hence why we're here now. And so I really just wanted to give you a shout out and say thank you, Joteka. And for everyone, I just want to remind you, tomorrow we will be streaming on YouTube. 7 p.m. is the red carpet. But at 8 p.m., you get to see the entire show. You get to hear Joanne Reid opening the show and also Joteka working with all of the folks that you see here.
Thank you so much, Reecie. And I want to turn it over first. I want to give a big shout out to Sister Dawn, who came representing and was just really representing Win with Black Women and being a pivotal force with everything that we were doing, because our focus and our goal was to continue to do the advocacy work to say that the communities in Altadena and the surrounding communities and those Black families, we need to have a long-term commitment. As you know, we collaborated and partnered with GoFundMe to set up the relief fund, which directly supports now 3 organizations, Neighborhood Servants, the Flint Ridge Center, and our own. And all of the funds we've raised, I know, at least $100,000, and hopefully that's going to skyrocket because Essence plans to put the barcode on their screens throughout the entire broadcast, and a lot of conversations will point people to donate. And so we are excited about that. So Dawn, I wanted to first say thank you to you, and then I wanted to highlight 3 longtime residents of the Altadena community. Samantha, thank you for being the connection to connect us all to so many, and in the midst of you dealing with your own family. And then Miss Nikki High, your amazing bookstore. I was able to, and we were able to highlight there your story of how even when everything was happening, you gave away all your books so that people could have their books. And Sister Jackie DuPont Walker is shaking her head because she was like, oh my goodness, it's amazing. And then you turn your bookstore into a place of healing. And that's so powerful. And Miss Juanita, you all of your years of service, 83 years young, don't look a day over 40, and still going. And so I wanted to give a big thank you to all of you. And Miss Jackie DuPont Walker led a panel discussion during the the next day. Essence had a house full of content and full of conversations, and Miss Jackie DuPont Walker led a powerful conversation with those nonprofits. So I wanted to open the floor up to any and all of you all to just share anything you want to share about your experience, and then of course, anything you want the nearly 4,000 plus women on this call to know.
Well, Joteka, first, I would like to just say thank you for all that you do. It was such a pleasure meeting you. You know, after being with you every Sunday during Kamala Harris's campaign, it was just delightful to meet you, and also delightful to meet Dawn. You were so helpful to me. I really appreciate you. I appreciate all that you did and sticking with me during that day, and as well as Samantha. So I felt very special getting such wonderful treatment. As Joteka has said, my name is Juanita West Tillman. I live in Altadena, and my home was completely destroyed in the Eden wildfire. So my family and I have lost everything in terms of a home. We lost 2 cars and some other homes that we owned on the street. So I'm just excited to be in the presence tonight of such powerful women, smart women who get things done. And, you know, we're looking forward to the help that you will provide for residents of Altadena. It's very much needed. You know, some have good insurance, some have average, and some have no insurance. But no matter what the status is, we're all going to need help in order to rebuild. So we have a community of people who are wanting to rebuild, and hopefully we can make that happen. And we know that working together will certainly maximize that and will help us to get to where we want to be. We have a great community that's standing together and working towards seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. And so we just, you know, are delighted to be here. I'm delighted to be here and looking forward to you being with us through the long haul, because it's going to take some years to get back to our homes or to rebuild our homes. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. And you've been joining us since 2023. So Miss Juanita is not new to Win with Black Women. Sister Nikki, Sister Samantha, I wanted to make sure I opened the floor if there was anything that you both wanted to share. And of course, Dawn and Miss Jackie.
Thank you so much. I first want to thank Sam and Miss Jackie. Sam made the connection with me and Miss Jackie. Miss Jackie almost instantly came to my bookstore, took me in the back, and really just opened her heart to me and connected me with you all. And I'm just so delighted. My bookstore has been open for 2 years. And from the moment I announced that I was opening the store to putting up the bookshelves, Black women were consistently carrying me, sometimes physically, through this process, and that support has never wavered. So I'm just really incredibly grateful to be in community with all of you. For those of you who don't know, I opened Octavia's Bookshelf in Pasadena. It's Pasadena and Altadena's only Black-owned bookstore. And I named it in honor of our hometown legend, Miss Octavia Estelle Butler. So if you guys don't know who she is, please look her up. But what I do is prioritize Black stories. We're a store of stories, and we share stories that are of resilience. We share stories of imagination and we're funny and we're romantic and lovely, and just the range that we have as Black people. And so that's what I do every single day. It's just to uplift those stories. I am an Altadena resident. My house is still standing. The structure is still up, but the majority of the street has completely burned down. So I too am displaced right now. It'll be a long road for us to get home, but this community is so tight knit. People started asking me, like, why would you, stop operating your business just to give out supplies? And I was like, why wouldn't I? This is the city that raised me. And so we were really just honored. For 3 weeks straight, we were able to get supplies and immediate products to Eaton Canyon survivors. And now we've pivoted. We're working in the trauma space to help people, process, to regulate their nervous systems, to have some fun and play. And so that is what we're doing right now and focused on. And none of this can be possible without everyone's help. And so I'm just so thankful that you all believe in me and support me and let me continue to be a vessel of blessings for my community.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joteka.
Thank you. Sister Sam, Sister Dawn, Sister Jackie.
Sister Joteka, first and foremost, I want to thank you beyond words. When this first happened 7 weeks ago, all the news cameras turned to this hidden haven that most people were just learning about, Altadena, California. And you stepped into the gap as a first responder. All the women on this call and raised that $100,000 that is so critically needed. But after the news cameras have left, you have stayed and you continue to spotlight. And so I want to thank you, and I want to honor you and corporate partners like Essence for spotlighting our business owners like Nikki High, spotlighting our matriarchs like Miss Juanita West Tillman. I am 4 generations in the Northwest Pasadena, Altadena area. And I just, you always think you'll have home. And not just your own home, but just your community. And so just to set the stage of where we are, 61% of Black households in Altadena were located within the fire perimeter, and we have been disproportionately impacted, meaning 48% of our Black homes have been destroyed, as opposed to 37% experienced by others. Our aging population, over 57% of the homes lost are over the age of 65. And what this means is the direct interruption of generational wealth and declining home ownership for those generations like myself and those below me that come beyond. So what is the solutions in this moment? Solutions like what you have been doing, Sister Joteka, and what you have brought together with Essence Magazine. We have a powerful, proud community and population that worked to create this haven of multi-generational ownership, Black wealth, Black businesses that are now being forced to stand in lines to collect 300 gift cards here, 500 denials from FEMA there. So the more that we are able to eradicate this red tape, such as what you are doing with your fund, means the world. What you are doing with the NAACP fund means the world. And so I just want to thank you all. The last thing I will say is I've personally been inspired. Joteka, as you shared, I've worked in the media space and the community space the entirety of my career. For the first time, I'm executive producing my own storytelling film called Altadena Rising, which is focusing on 4 families in the first 24 hours, one of which is Miss Juanita Tillman. And I just want to thank you all for your continued support of our community. We are you. Thank you.
Oh, that's so awesome, Sam. Well, you have to, we're gonna ask for exclusive, like Joy and Reid's giving us an exclusive, but please, when you are working on that project, any way this network could be supportive, please come back when it's ready. We're going to claim Image Awards. We're going to claim Oscars, Emmys, and all Golden Globes and all the things for you. Thank you. And rounding us out, Sister Dawn, thank you for stepping in the gap and just being such just bringing us all together. And Sister Jackie DuPont Walker, I know you have a quick update on the fact that we are still moving that fund.
Thank you. Good afternoon and good evening. I just want to tell the women how quickly and adeptly Women with Black Women moves. I want to clarify that Samantha went to Don called me, and the way we arrived at Nikki's bookshelf. That's the power of Win with Black Women, not waiting, making it happen. We assume that all of us are authentic voices. And so for that panel on Friday, we were the rap, and we were the rap for a good reason. No one could have come behind the powerful testimonies from the representative of our own, Lee Johnson, the representative of Neighborhood Servants, Leslie White, and the representative of the Flint Ridge Center, Leslie Wilson. They demonstrated the importance of this recovery not being just about removing debris, but about recovery, about generational wealth, about empowerment, and making sure that we're there for the long haul. Yes, we know that there are all ages there, and this body shows that we have that generational span that's important. And so we share so much in common. Some of us share the same faith groups. Let me say I'm a proud AME. Some of us share the same sororities and other groups and civic groups. But what's important is that we are now absolutely unequivocally recognized as an authentic voice where women, Black women in particular, can find their sisterhood to embrace them and show love. And so as we look forward to the fund being distributed and the increased giving that will come out of the partnership with Essence, who understands it, we know that we will be, for future generations, that bridge that will get us over. Thank you, Joteka. Thank you, all my sisters, especially Samantha and Don, who showed up to support. And we actually helped to bring aboard a new makeup artist who is just learning from one of the trade tech groups how to do her work. She has said to you, Joteka, and the others, she is now so inspired that she knows her sisters beyond her family love her. And it's that love and that hope that's going to get us over. Thank
You're
you.
smiling, Don. Don, you're smiling. I know you got something to say there. And then Rekia, I know you had one last point to round us out and remind us where we can watch the wonderful show.
I am just, first of all, Joteka, thank you for all you do. Thank you for bringing this wonderful, powerful collective force of Black women together, because Black women will save the world. I grew up in Altadena, went to elementary, junior high, and for a little bit high school there. So that is home. It is devastating to see what's happening, but I am so thankful for Essence and Win with Black Women highlighting us, because so much of the news coverage has gone to the Palisades, which is another community that was affected. It was so wonderful to meet Miss Nikki and Miss Jacqueline and Miss Samantha and oh my goodness, and Miss Juanita. I just want to tell everyone, please support Black bookstores. Since we're boycotting Amazon, I know many of us are voracious readers. Please support Black bookstores. And yeah, thank you everyone for your continued support.
Well, thank you so much. And Rekia, if you could remind us, how can we watch this where you're going to see many of them, and hear about this and the fund? And yes, we see you in the chat. Y'all are like, how can I donate? How can I donate? It's going to be in the resource tab. We're going to drop it in the chat. It is the link. But over to you, Rekia, to round us out.
Thank you, Joteka. And I just want to emphasize that when we thought about doing this, we emphasized and double clicked on long-term commitment. So Samantha, when you talk about your work, and Nikki, when you talk about your store, we should be collaborating on an ongoing basis. Joteka, you always talk about the power of community. We are partners in that community when Essence comes along. So I just want to encourage you all to keep us on as partners. We're always talking to Joteka. Our Chief Community Officer, Barku Tubman, couldn't be on tonight. She has triplets and it's their birthday tonight. So if you have one child, she has 3 that are all the same age, and she was supposed to be on this call, but was called by her triplets. We are fans of this community and all of the amazing work that you all are doing. Tomorrow, please watch these speeches. You will be, it was such an emotional show. But 7 o'clock red carpet, 8 o'clock show on the Essence YouTube channel. So you can watch everything on the Essence YouTube channel.
Awesome. Essence's YouTube channel, and there's going to be ways that you could donate there, but we're going to put it out here. And yes, you can order books from octaviasbookshelf.com. You can go there and support. And a big shout out to sisters Holly Weeks, who made sure that our GoFundMe page was reflective of our collective new collaboration with Essence. Shout out to Holly Holiday, who was also doing a lot to help make this collaboration possible, and to Christina Q, who was really the rock that held us all together and bringing us all together and doing so much work from afar. Everybody's giving you your hand claps, Christina, because you work with everyone to make it happen. And Rachel Norlander, who was making sure that they were, oh goodness, she was making sure that folks was moving on that red carpet and with the media. So big shout out, because it's a team that makes all this happen. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We all can't wait to see this wonderful show. It is inspiring speeches, and the commitment to Altadena, the long-term commitment is weaved throughout there. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And speaking of books, amazing books, our next speaker is an author. She's an activist, an advocate. She's so much. We know her. We have known her for years. She has been a part of Win with Black Women for so long. And we know her for the work that she does to root out gun violence in our country, and gun violence everywhere it exists, not just the type that we see on television all the time, but everywhere. And she's just a fierce voice, and we love her. Let's bring to the Win with Black Women stage, Erica Ford. I love the setup with the books. I love the setup. Please talk to us about this powerful book that you have penned that is going to help us understand peace in our worlds.
Thank y'all for having me on here, and salute to those Black queens that just stepped off the stage. One of the things that the book, the reason why is because of what's happening in society, right? It's like we see the crumbling of community. We see the crumble of morals and values. And so I wanted to put some of the plays that I use to help the young people be successful in my 37-year journey in doing this work in a journal book, so that families could come together. We look to put our kids in the right football team, on the right basketball team. We teach those plays about winning those games, but what about the play to life, right? What about the play that's going to help us be successful as women and as men, as community, as on our jobs? And so this playbook does that. And so I was lucky enough to come with an idea and have the means to have someone invest in me and put it out, and it's self-published. And I look forward to, being invited to different communities of the women on Win with Black Women, because we must be intentional, right? When you were able to bring us together in a moment, is because you intentionally built a community where we can come together. And so all of us have to be intentional about Monday, about Tuesday, and this playbook helps you do that. And I just opened up a page, and it says, adopt the mentality that challenges are happening for you and not to you. And the thing of what just left, those women from Altadena, how can you change that tragedy to look at what is happening to you? You just lost your mother. My mother is right there, right? And so we know today I went and ate some cornmeal porridge because I wanted to be connected to my mother. She used to give me cornmeal porridge every morning when I was young, right? And so there's ways for us to be intentional to connect to our loved ones. There's ways to be intentional to turn the things that are happening to us to make it for us. And that's what the playbook helps you do. I am going to be at Barnes and Noble. I never in my life, even we used to not be able to even shop on Fifth Avenue, much less be on the front window of a store on Fifth Avenue. And so March 26th, Barnes and Noble's invited me to be part of an event with them to push the book and push peace. And so any of the women that are here in New York, please go to my website, ericaford.org, because it's more than just a book. This is about a movement that can help change the hearts and souls of our people. And we need that now more than ever.
Well, Erica, I am so excited to dig all into your book and just get so many lessons. And we've posted in the chat for you to follow Erica on all of the handles. And please, this segment is called Hey Sis, Get This Book. And so hold it up. It's called the Peace Doctor's Playbook. Please, you can order it today at www.ericaford.org. We'll make sure it's in the resource tab. Sis, we thank you for all that you not only have written and the gems that are in that book, but the advocacy and the gems that you give us every day in life as you live. So thank you so much. And
Getting
thank
ready
you,
to be
Rachel Norlander,
60
for
years
always
old.
bringing you to us.
I'm getting ready to be 60 next month. And so the joy of life is real, the joy of life. And we got to live every single day. I love you. Remember.
I love you too. Thank you. Sisters, we are getting close to the end of our agenda, and we will have a special tribute to our falling shero, Sister Angie Stone, before we close out tonight as well. But we will first have the very important announcements and updates. It's always good. Sister Chantel Mullen, Sister Holly Holiday, over to you.
All right. Well, I'm going to kick it off because I'm going to give you what you've been asking for. We saw you in the chat.
Wait a minute, Holly.
Oh, what happened?
I need to share the screen, baby. Hold on.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. Do that part. All right. Go ahead. Do the opening.
Well, we are here with our Win with Black Women announcements. This is how you can support Black women in the next few weeks. All right, Holly, it's
all
on.
right. I am here to give you what you've been asking for. I saw y'all in the chat saying we ain't watching the State of the Union. We don't care what that brother is talking about. Well, let me tell you what you can watch. For 24 hours, beginning Tuesday at 12 a.m. Tuesday morning, you can tune to the State of the People. This is a 24-hour takeover and media resistance where you will see content geared towards Black people. We will fight for democracy. We will show up and it will be a stream of all of your favorite voices. Yes, you will see Joy Ann Reid. Yes, you will see Stacey Abrams. Yes, you will see Jamal Bryant. And of course, Angela Rye, who got this all started. Yes, you will see Andrew Gillum and so many more. Brittany Packnett Cunningham. And so many more of your voices. We are going to have Reecie Colbert. How could I forget Reecie? Reverend Frederick Haynes, so many of our voices for 24 hours straight. We are taking over State of the People. And I know you want to know where to go. You go right here to the stateofthepeople.media website to register, and the registration will pop right up. We hope that you will join us and for a very special town hall following the State of the Union, which we won't know about because we'll be watching the State of the People. Expect to see commentary, expect to see panels. We will have congressional members. We will have all the things that you need as a Black American in this country. And of course, we invite our compadres from across the diaspora to find out what Black people need to know and what Black people think about what is happening in our country. Join the takeover. It's the State of the People. Back to you, Chantel.
Well, thank you, Holly. That sounds really exciting. I am looking forward to that. We, of course, are going to drop all of these in our Facebook page. If you're not in that Win with Black Women Facebook group, we drop it there, but we'll also have it on all of the Win with Black Women social media pages. We got some exciting stuff. Leverage and level up. This is to help our Black women federal employees. This is happening via Zoom on March the 6th. Join Dr. Dunbar and Kathy Porter. They are helping our sisters who have been impacted by all of the different changes at these agencies. So if you need to level up and leverage, join these dynamic sisters on March the 6th at 7 p.m. We are going to have a Black Press Sunday. This is happening on March the 16th at 10 a.m. It's an in-person event at the Metropolitan AME Church here in DC. And so if you are in DC, please join this event. Again, just reminding you, Sister Melanie Campbell talked about the Women of Power National Summit. It's happening March the 12th through the 16th. You can register over on Eventbrite. There's the link. We will drop that for you. It's actually already in the resource tab, which, remember, everyone, is down in the menu at the bottom of your Zoom screen. If you're on your phone, you may have to scroll over to find the resource tab, but it is in there. Just a reminder, we announced this last week, our last meeting, the NCNW Purple Power Policy Summit happening in April. You can register, go over there, learn some good policy from our sisters over at NCNW. Remember, we have a link. We are still collecting some of those Black business recommendations, and we're going to be working on getting that up on the Win with Black Women website so you can follow all of the great Black businesses that our community has shared or recommended. We still have Black women running for office. It's early in 2025. You may not have decided, but when you do, drop your information so we can make sure that we include you in the Black Women Running Yearbook and that we can promote your election on social media. If you happen to know a sister who is running, send her this link. Make sure that she gets her information in there. And remember that women usually have to be asked at least 5 times to run for office. So I'm sure y'all know somebody who wants to run. Encourage that sister to run for office and then put her name in our yearbook. If you have a job opportunity, some consulting, funding opportunities, we're going to need you to send those to Jewel Loves because she sends out that great weekly email with all of our opportunities. So here is the email. It's our info@winwithblackwomen.org. The subject line is Jewel Loves Attention, and get that to her by Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Also, if you have some announcements for our Sunday meeting, send that also to the same email address, info@winwithblackwomen.org. And subject line is announcements, and get that to us by Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, the Saturday before our Sunday call. We still have t-shirts. We have a new We Need Joy shirt. So you can get those at the Win with Black Women State shirt site. And I saw y'all putting some other suggestions in the chat. We'll check those out. You never know what we might have for you next week. Our next meeting is March the 16th. And then the following meeting is March the 30th. Our QR code is there where you can register, but the bit.ly link doesn't change. It is bit.ly / Win with Black Women Sunday Call, WWBW Sunday Call. That is posted on social media. Make sure that you get on the email list because we are sending that out as well. And then lastly, Joteka, you want to talk about this link right here? I have
Sure.
this announcement.
Absolutely, I can. And we'll circle back. We have the link Many of you have asked, you have text, you have emailed. Thank you to some of you who have texted me and said, hey, send me that donation link. And as I shared, as we have grown, we started with 90 people on a Zoom. And the Zoom was a donated Zoom where we were just kind of just using it. And we've grown and grown and grown. And this cost, it cost a lot for us to do this operations. Most all of us are volunteer. We're volunteering our time. Our advisors are volunteering our time. Some of them you don't even see. People like Donna Brazil. Donna Brazil is our producer. She is the one that guides us week to week. Bishop Leah Daughtry, people like Mignon, Karen, all those folks. We volunteer our time. Holly, we volunteer our time. Chanel, the people you see on screen. But there are operations. So everything from the email list, it's changed. When you were sending, we were on a Google groups and we were sending an email to a couple of thousand people, but now it's nearly 200,000 people. And so your support and donations help. We have a C4 donation link and we are building out our C3 donation link. And we will send out an email to the email list. And I have had to kind of do it reluctantly, but we have to do it because I was like, oh, I don't want to really raise money. But every dime that you give helps us to be able to operate. It's going to help us to continue to bring collective information and really to serve what we serve as is just a collective. And particularly in this time, having the ability to operate helps. So we thank you in advance. Any donation helps, whether or not you want to give 5 cents or you want to give $5,000 or $500,000. And if you're an institutional donor with the foundation and you have to only give $3, we have an apparatus through our proud partnership with Power Horizons on the C3 side. So there are options for you. And we welcome that conversation. You can email info@winwithblackwomen.org or reach out to myself or Holly if you have grants and you would like to donate. And I always say this, it's not just about Win with Black Women, but any of you who have the ability to donate or have the ability to give grants, you should look at the entire collective of Black women led and Black women-centered organizations, and supporting and donating to any of those organizations will help all of us. Because the stronger our collective is, no matter who the organization is, the stronger we are together. Back over to you, Chantel.
Well, that's it for tonight, Joteka. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Chantel. Sisters, you also probably saw in the news, we lost a giant. She is my fellow South Carolina sister, Reid, coming from Columbia, South Carolina. And we lost her tragically, Sister Angie Stone. And coming to the Win with Black Women stage to lead and to speak on her life and to give a tribute to her is no other than our sister that we love, who will speak on her life, Dr. Stacy N.C. Grant, as she was a member of your sisterhood.
Thank you so much, Joteka, my beautiful sister. What a night. Anytime we are in the presence of all of our sisters, it's a joy just listening to everything that was shared tonight and the importance of being together and taking this moment to just acknowledge that every day is a gift. And as the international president and CEO of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, it is hard when you have to lead through moments like this, when we lose such a gem to so many people. Our triumphant Sora Angie Stone, she was American singer, a songwriter, an actress, a record producer, 3-time Grammy nominee, and 2-time Soul Train Awards winner. But she just was a part of the soundtrack to so many of our lives. She's renowned for her contributions to the R&B and neo-soul genres. Her music resonated with fans for decades, and she was a member of FACE, the Fearless American, African American Connected and Empowered for Diabetes program that was sponsored by Eli Lilly and Company, which helps African Americans understand their risk for the disease and how to control it. Our triumphant Source Stone aligned her passions and her talents with our sorority's elder care initiatives and Zeta's helping other people excel, Z-Hope. Our hearts go out to her family, to her loved ones, her fans around the world, in which she has left an indelible mark. And so many of our members who perform with her, like our soror Selena Johnson and Chrisette Michelle, and I could go down the list, that everyone's heart is just so heavy. From across the board, there's more tributes coming in every day as people learn. She was about to perform at the NCIAA, I think I always get those acronyms wrong. Joteka, pray for me. But she was about to perform for that event. She was just in, I believe it was Alabama, performing the night before. Ooh, how do you really say goodbye? One of the things that I have done in my personal life, and I've shared it in my professional life and with my sorors and my D9 family and all my sisters in leadership, that when we lose the people that we love, we honor them by how we live. No one knows the day, the time, of the hour, but we thank God for the moments that we get to spend with the people who leave a mark on our heart. And I found this poem that I thought was just really a great way to summarize what we're all feeling and not quite sure how to say, and then having Mama Dukes transition as well. And I know we'll be celebrating her some more in the after party and the after hours. I said, Lord, this is some way to begin March, but give us strength. And I'm going to read this poem that a gentleman named David Harkins wrote. And it goes like this. She is gone. You can shed tears that she is gone, or you can smile because she has lived. You can close your eyes and pray that she will come back, or you can open your eyes and see all that she has left. Your heart can be empty because you can't see her, or you can be full of the love that you shared. You can turn your back on tomorrow and live in yesterday, or you can be happy for tomorrow because of yesterday. You can remember her and only that she's gone, or you can cherish her memory and let it live on. You can cry and close your mind, be empty and turn your back, or you can do what she would want. Smile, open your eyes, love, and go on. And in tribute to our dear sister, Angie Stone, we will live, love, go on with the soundtrack that you have left us to be a part of the memories yet to come. You will never be forgotten, and our love will go on. Thank you, my dear sister Joteka, for allowing me this moment to celebrate our beautiful sister, Angie Stone. May she rest in peace and power. We are better because she has lived.
Indeed, we are. We've lost so many, including our dear sister, Roberta Flack, as well. And I can only imagine that those two sisters are singing a mighty, mighty song. And I could see Mother Dukes in her good St. John just dancing and having a good time. I can only imagine there's some place in paradise. I know my faith tradition knows where.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Dr. Grant, and I look forward to having you back in after hours as we always do. Sisters, we are at the end of our agenda. We've had a powerful call tonight. Thank you so much to all of the sisters who power Win with Black women: Sierra Johnson, Holly Weeks, Holly Holiday, Chantel Mullen, Dr. Edwina Ward, Christina Q, and Jewel Love, and so many that make this work. Thank you for the grace and the love when sometimes the tech or the video isn't up or my screen pops off and I think I'm not on. Thank you for that love. But we thought it fitting to close us in the spirit tonight because we know how our hearts feel. We've been We've been educated tonight. We've been called to action. We've celebrated our joy, and we've remembered tonight. And Dr. Cole, we thank you for joining us, one of our matriarchs, our sage leaders, to close us in the spirit.
Dearest sisters, our hearts are so heavy. And yet, if we know anything of our Mama Dukes, we know that she would only give us so much time to mourn before she would say, "My children, that's enough. Now get to work." I need to say to each of you that there's an African tradition about age, not in each of the 54 countries in every one of the cultures, but in many there is something called the age grades. And that is to say, a very special and close relationship is built among those who share a given set of ages. And so you need to hear me when I say that I have lost the physical presence of a dearest sister in my 8th grade. Yes, Mama Dukes, with God's grace, was in her 90s. And I am 88, and thus her little sister in some sense. But we are still in that same age grade. And I just need to say, it ain't easy. We all know of Mama Duke's years on the national scene of NAACP. And we perhaps know even more of those years when she was the sister leader of the NAACP in the state of New York. And so tonight, because she was such a national leader, as well as a force in the state of New York, all over our country, and among righteous people throughout our world, there is mourning. There is mourning. Yes, we all know also of the incredibly close relationship that Mama Dukes had and will always have with someone that she called her girl. That's Joteka. That's Joteka. And while she loved each of her children, and how her children loved to be called her children, dearest Joteka, we do know we do know how the absence of the physical presence of Mama Dukes, how that is affecting you. And of course, we're sensitive to the reality that Mama Duke's departure to go on up to glory has come only a matter really of weeks following the flight of your own mama to glory. And so know, my dearest Sora, my dearest sister friend, our sister leader, Joteka, feel how tightly we are holding you. No, Mama Dukes ain't here tonight, physically, but her spirit, I just have to say it, if you don't feel it, I gotta ask why not. You know, I honestly believe that Mama Dukes' spirit will never, ever cease to be with us. Over the course of our time together tonight, I'm sure you were as touched as I was by that video. It was as if Mama Dukes was gonna just step out of this computer. She was so present. And as throughout our time together tonight, stories were told or a reference was made about her, she's been right here. And yet we have to own it. We have to admit that while we feel her spirit, we wish she were physically right here, right now, as she was from the very first night that Win with Black Women began. And she was, with the exception of so very few nights. Mama Duke was here. So, my sisters, all I know that your hearts, like mine, your hearts are heavy. Mama Duke went to glory. But I know that you, like I, that you are thinking if ever there was a time when we need the mighty voice, the exceptional presence of Mama Dukes, it is now. But can't you hear her? The moment I said that, can't you hear Mama Duke saying, almost shouting down from glory, "Now, my children, don't you dare stop fighting. Don't you dare lose your fighting spirit. From up here in glory, with all of our civil rights sheroes and heroes, we are counting on you to carry on, to push back, to speak up, to speak out, and yes, to engage in activism that can matter. And hear me, my dearest sisters, my Win with Black women sisters, as an 88-year-old elder, as the younger sister of Mama Dukes, as a member in the African sense of Mama Dukes' age grade, I know her message to us tonight is, don't you even think about giving up. I can hear Mama Duke saying to us, think where we would be if our enslaved ancestors had given up and given in. Think where as a people we would be if civil rights and women's rights warriors had given up and given in. So yes, Mama Dukes, from her ever so special place right now up in glory, is saying to each of us, don't you even think about not being in the struggle. And so, my dearest sisters, my Win with Black women sisters, I want to leave you now with this African saying, and I think you know it. As long as a person's name is called, that person never dies. So call her name. Call the name of the Honorable Hazel Dukes. Call the name of our sister leader, Hazel Dukes. Call the name of one who will live forever, our Mama Hazel Dukes.
Thank you, Dr. Cole. Thank you. And sisters, as you pray, please pray for Mother Dukes' family, for her son, her biological son, who shared her with all of us, and our sister Rosalind McAllister Brock, who was extremely close to Mother Dukes, who spent so much time with her, and so many, but I wanted to lift up our sister Rosalind Brock. Keep her in prayer and keep her lifted. She was always with Mama Dukes and was truly her daughter. Let us say their names. Mama Dukes, Sister Angie Stone, Miss Roberta Flack, and all that we have lost so that they never die. Thank you, Dr. Cole. Sisters, we have reached the end of our formal agenda. We will hear a song and then we will go into after hours. And during after hours, we will have a breakout